Hey guys, Zandi here. So today's journal entry is going to be a few places. It's going to be Cinsta, Morgan's Bay, Kymouth, and Trennerys. With that said, let's get me on the clock. So this little part of the trip, it was like 2-night stays along the way, and they were all Airbnb stays. They were all Airbnb stays, and they were all quite affordable. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But let's tuck into the individual places. So I stayed in Cinsta for 2 nights. I stayed at a place, I found the place on Airbnb. My accommodation was not fantastic, and I would definitely also say that I didn't necessarily feel as relaxed as I could be in that place. Just because, I would not stay there again. As a girl, I would not stay there again. I think what was amazing about Cinsta is while I was on the beach, I hear a heart's love start calling to me. So I couldn't believe that she was at the beach at the same time that I was at the beach, and I had just arrived in Cinsta. So it was actually so beautiful how just as I arrived in Cinsta, this foreign place, there was safety, almost immediately. A next level of safety. So her family also has a home in that area. So she was like a 2 minutes walk from where I was staying, which was pretty, like way super cool. What did we do in Cinsta? So one, I didn't go out eating anywhere in Cinsta just because I don't remember seeing options. And accommodation was through Airbnb. What did I do? The beach. So we didn't really get an opportunity to swim just because it was dirty, it was windy, it was surgy. But what we did do is just beach walks. And that was really, really beautiful. We did beach walks, we did intertidal, exploring between the rocks, seeing what's between the rocks. That was really, really cool. Did dinners with her family as well. Did some work. So Cinsta was definitely a stop along the way. Not much exploration, but we did attempt to do a sunrise because that whole part of the coastline has really amazing sunrises. But unfortunately, it had been rainy, it's been cloudy, so we weren't able to actually catch the sun. I actually really thought that the sun might be able to make it out between the clouds. No, but it was still amazing to be able to share space and coffee at that time of the morning. I think we were on the beach at like 4:45 in the morning because the sun was supposed to rise at 4:50. So it was still amazing to be able to just share stories of my journey to date and hear other human stories, which was really, really lovely. That's it for Cinsta. Morgan's Bay was really, really lovely. I stayed in Kymouth. So I stayed in Kymouth and I went into Morgan's Bay. Morgan's Bay was also quite nice, but again, it was just this little spell of really bad weather. So rain, cloud, surgy waters, dirty waters. So I didn't really get into the water there as well. I really did hope to do, they've got horse riding, sunrise and sunset horse happenings. I didn't get around to doing that. I don't know why. I actually don't have a reason for why. But the place was lovely. Morgan Bay has a hotel there, which is overlooking the ocean, which is quite lovely. And they also have a restaurant there, which I walked in and I sat for about 15 minutes unattended, and then I walked out because I kind of figured that maybe they were really busy, which they were, but still. No one came up to say, hi, can I help you? Can I get you a drink? So I just kind of left and I headed to where I was staying in Kymouth. Kymouth was really, really beautiful. I loved it. I loved my accommodation. Found it on Airbnb and it was just absolutely amazing. I had the most beautiful host. she had filter coffee, hot filter coffee, ready for me every single morning. That is a love language for me. It was beautiful. I loved it. And she recommended a few things to do. So in Kaimouth, you're actually able to place your car on a ferry to cross the river, and you're able to go onto the other side. So the other side is Tsendani, they call it Gendani, Tsendani and Trennerys. So I put my car on the ferry. I think the ferry ride is 90 Rand one way. So you put your car on and you drive another 18 kilometers and you're able to get to a place called Trennerys. And Trennerys, it is beautiful. It is it looks like a little secluded little island. I would have never known that it exists had my host not mentioned it. And I spent the day out that side. I had lunch out that side. They had a vegetarian burger, and the patty looked scary. So sometimes you really should just eat the beef. That was a definitely eat the beef moment. But the hotel itself is actually quite lovely, and you're actually able to, they've got boat trips that go out. There's a lot of things that happen out that side. But again, we were in the spell of the ugly weather. But I think it would have been lovely to see it on a sunny day. It was a cloudy day. But absolutely an experience that is worth going on. And then I put my car back on the ferry and headed back. So here are some important considerations when you're thinking about the ferry. One, make sure that if you want to go back on the ferry, arrive at least 2 hours after low tide or 2 hours before low tide. Waiting on the ferry to start operating again, because just a point for when you do go across, after low tide you're going to have to wait about an hour and a half to 2 hours before the ferry is operational again, because then the water is too low for you to be able to cross. Unless it's been raining a lot, maybe it might be a bit higher, but because of low tide, you'll be stuck there. We were stuck there for 40 minutes to an hour. So I think this is a very important consideration if you're going to take the ferry. So plan your travels around the tide times. So you want to be at high tide, and if it's at low tide, 2 hours after low tide or 2 hours before low tide. And that's one. Two, carry cash. So on the ferry, they only accept cash. So carry cash. It's 90 Rand each way. But they generally have float, so they'll be able to give you change if you need change. Three, if a local asks you for a lift, I did give a few locals lifts just because I felt like I was in a position to. My energy agreed, it worked. So if the locals do ask for a lift, I felt good to give lifts. So I felt safe, I felt good. So I actually did give lifts, because everybody is generally going up that 18-kilometer route, and some of the guys are going left towards Tsendani and you're going right towards Trennery. So I think if you are in a position to, I felt safe, but obviously judge the situation for yourself. It was actually quite interesting to see some of the local fishermen as well, and they were catching, some of their own fish, and they're going home with it, which is also pretty cool to see. Yeah, guys, I think that is it for that entry. So in Kaimouth, there was not a lot to do, but you're able to actually walk along the beach. There wasn't much swimming that was happening. There was not much spearfishing. The timers, sorry about that. So in Kaimouth, again, weather dependent, you would be able to swim out, spear, and enjoy the beach. But again, it was cloudy, it was chilly. So I think, that's that. But I generally enjoyed staying in Kaimouth. If you have an option to stay either between Morgan Bay or Kaimouth, I would say go with Kaimouth. If you like, the more rural setting that feels a little bit more homely, stay in Kaimouth. If you like the idea of a almost slightly built up area, stay in Morgan's Bay. but I would definitely stay in Kaimouth, and when I go back, I'm probably going to stay at that same lady, just because I really, really enjoyed their home. With that, I'm going to call this journal entry a close. Cheers.